Writer Alison Rickman once wrote, "But in order to survive in this foreign world, I had to teach myself that love was very much like a painting. The negative space between people was just as important as the positive space we occupy. The air between our resting bodies and the breath in our conversations were all like the white of the canvas, and the rest of our relationship, the laughter and the memories, were the brushstroke applied over time." A very powerful lesson to be learned indeed, and it's one we can learn in the studio. Welcome to my studio. Welcome back, my artists. Today we're going to be using scissors, and I'm just going to point out that there's all kinds of different scissors that are out there. This is only scratching the surface of the bizarre scissors that exist. A couple rules of thumb: if you don't have a pair of scissors, but you may have a pair sitting around at your home, pay attention to what kind of scissors you're using. For instance, if you find out that you have a pair of your grandmother's cloth cutting scissors, don't use them for this. You do not want to be making anyone's grandma angry. So, make sure that you have scissors that are intended for paper. Technically, yes, your kitchen shears could work in a pinch. However, again, make sure that you have permission to use those, because I know a lot of people who work in kitchens who would be mortified if you use their kitchen scissors for cutting paper. Step 1, measure and cut the paper. Okay, so I'm going to take my sketchbook. I'm going to take a clean sheet that has nothing on it. It technically could be a scrap sheet, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to measure out 4 inches on my ruler. I'm going to put that 4 inches right on the edge. I'm going to mark it. I'm going to move up. I'm going to mark again 4 inches. Mark it. Now I'm going to make a line connecting these two. But while I'm doing it, I'm going to measure out 3 inches. So 3 inches, boom, right there. That's my 3-inch mark. I'm going to come on over here. 3 inches. There's my 4 by 3 inch shape. Now I'm going to cut it out. Step 2, mark the paper. So now I have my piece of paper. I'm going to go from corner to corner. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to go from corner to corner while drawing a shape. So I start in the corner. I can come up. I can make whatever kind of shape I want. But I end in the corner. So I started in the corner. I ended in the corner. Step 3, mark the paper again on the next side. So I've marked my paper. I turn my paper 90 degrees. I'm going to mark this side of the paper. It doesn't matter where I start it, but I have to end it on the corner. So I've marked it. It ends in the corner. This one starts in the corner and ends in the corner. That step's done. Step 4, cut the shapes out. Now I'm going to cut these shapes out of the paper. Exciting stuff. Step 5, tape the paper. Okay, so I've cut my 2 shapes out. And watch me carefully. I'm going to say that again. Watch me carefully. I'm going to take this piece out. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to move it over. And I'm going to move it down. I didn't turn it. I didn't flip it. I didn't do anything weird. I literally moved it over so that if I moved it back, it still fits in there. So again, not turning the paper. I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to tape it in place. Like so. Now I'm going to take the other side Now I'm going to take this side of it, pop it out of there, and again, not turning it. Over, down, over. Don't turn it. Now this one, because I started the cut here, I want to make sure that it's moved over. Because it ended on the corner, I just need to make sure that it's lined up on the same corner. Don't need a lot of tape for this. Okay. What I've done is I've created a tessellated pattern, a shape that fits within itself. Step 6, trace your shape. All right, so here's a different tessellated shape I made earlier today, and I placed it on my paper. I would take my pencil and I'm going to trace around the entire shape until I'm left with an outline. Now what's cool about this outline is if I take my shape and if you look, it fits into itself like a puzzle piece. And if I take it over here, it fits into itself like a puzzle piece. If I take it down here, it fits into itself like a puzzle piece. And if I take it over here, it fits in, you guessed it, like a puzzle piece. Step 7, keep on tracing. So I've gone through on this sheet of paper and you can see I have filled in the entire paper. I've gone even off the edges, but I kept tracing my shape again and again and again. I'm filling the page with just that shape. Step 8, look for the shape. All right, so here you can see I have looked at my original shape and I've turned it into something. It's kind of like looking at the clouds on a sunny day. You look up at the clouds and you can see shapes in them. Maybe you see a cute teddy bear. Maybe you see an angry velociraptor. I don't know what you see, but in this case, you're looking at the shape that you had, this shape, and you're thinking, well, what does it look like? In this case, I thought it kind of looked like this like pterodactyl, right? So what I did is I started to fill it in with this kind of pterodactyl look. But then I took it a step farther. You asked for a challenge, I'll give you a challenge. For my advanced students, something that you can do to augment your shape to make it look more like what it is that you're wanting to depict. In this case, I had this pterodactyl, and if you look, I'm going to take this shape, I'm going to lay it over top. And you can see I added and removed some stuff. So I added a tail. I added these little neck spikes, and I added its little claws. If you want more of a challenge, what you can do is I can add on those claws. However, when I add those claws on, I have to remember to remove those claws from the other side. That way the next shape fits in properly. The same thing happened with these little neck spikes. I wanted to make these little spiky things on its neck. Well, I had to remove the spiky things from here. And it doesn't look bad, it's just a little bit different, it's a little bit stylized. Here I removed a little bit of the wing so I could extend the length of the tail. My advanced students, if you want to take this farther, just remember, whatever you remove has to be replaced. Whatever you replace has to be removed. Step 9, identify the negative space. We want to X out a couple areas. So these are going to be areas that we're not going to be adding any information to it. They're going to be our negative space. Think about a chess or a checkerboard. A chess or a checkerboard shows us what we call crystallographic balance. If you were watching that lesson, which I sure hope you did, I talked to you about what crystallographic balance is, which means that it fits into a grid. So a grid has an alternating pattern in it when it's a chess or a checkerboard. So we have the black, white, black, white, black, white. It alternates. So just like I put X's here, where the white square would be, I'll do the same thing here because, see, tessellations are also crystallographic balance. So if this is my central square, the square under it, the square above it, and the squares to its right and its left would be adjacent. And I'm going to put an X in those because I want to keep that as negative space. Step 10, filling in the positive space. I did not put an X on the square that are diagonal to it, which means I'm going to take my creature And I'm going to copy him and I'm going to put him into those diagonal squares. Not the entire creature will fit on. As you can see right here, it's being cut off so we don't see the whole creature. That's okay. Fill in what you can see. All right, it's a little hard to see right now, but I have filled in some rudimentary basic images in my diagonals. And also I had a little bit of this one here because I have my block, I skip one, and I have my block. So I have a little bit of them showing here too. Step 11, outlining your positive shape. This one's kind of an optional step. You can see I've darkened the pencil line around my actual creature here. I'm going to go through, I'm going to darken my pencil line around each one of them. Now you can use pencil for this, you can use colored pencil for this. If you want to use a Sharpie or a pen to do your outline, that's fine. But we are going to be shading this or grading it in the case of you using color. So just be aware of that as you're doing your work. Again, I'm going to use a pencil for this one. You can use whatever works for you.
A quick word of advice.
A couple quick things before I go any further. One, I've been using a mechanical pencil up till now. The reason being is because it's good at drawing lines, but it's bad at drawing anything other than lines. So when I go to shade, for instance, I don't want to use this. No. Again, if you're using colored pencil, by gosh, you're fine, you're good to go. If you're using regular pencil, make sure that you're putting a paper down as you work to keep your hand clean, but also to keep the paper from smudging. You see, even with me working fairly clean just now, I had started kind of shading in my creature, and if you look up close, you see these smudge marks starting to form together. So I'll have to use my eraser to clean those up.
Step 12, filling the image with value.
You're going to take your pencil and you're going to start to shade in your creature. Areas that are farther away or deeper in or whatever. Some areas may be in shadow, some areas may be in light. I'm going to put big old bags under this angry looking pterodactyl's eyes. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to make a point to kind of shade in the edges. So I want to soften that edge just a little bit. You can shade or color these however you feel that you need to. But what I do need to see is I need to see that the bulk of your main shape has been shaded in or colored in. I need to see that the bulk of all of those main shapes have been shaded or filled in.
Step 13, clean up and prepare your artwork for presentation.
So here it is, the finished artwork. You can see that I've used the positive and I've used the negative space. You can see that my negative space is the same shape as my positive space. I'm doing equal portions of both. All right, my artists. Today's artwork again was inspired by the artwork of MC Escher, where we were practicing doing tessellations. And a couple things I want to note. One, if you want to differentiate what you are doing from what I am showing you, that is always fine. The only requirement is that you, meet the requirements. Here I'm asking you to show me tessellations. Here I'm asking you to fill in the tessellation. Here I'm asking you to give positive and negative space. Beyond that, the world is your oyster. Do whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to make an argument that this also includes a positive and negative space, well, you know what? If you want to fill it in with two different shapes, if you want to do more with it than what I've done here, go for it. If not, this is kind of what I'm after. You don't have to get necessarily as detailed as I've gotten. Obviously, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm putting a lot of detail work in here. You may not be ready for that, and that's okay.
As always, my artists, I look forward to seeing what you create today with this studio. Till next time, I'm Mr. Morris. Have a great day.